Hey, thanks for joining in. Welcome to Sam Outside. I'm Sam and I'm outside exercising a little bit of self care. And part of that includes that word exercise. That's right. Just walking. Yeah. Walking is so beneficial for the human body, the human heart, our mind, spirit. Hey, and if you can walk out in nature, man, you've just compounded some interest there. Yeah. It's low impact, right? And there's slight variations, little tweaks you can add to your walk. You can do to your walk to add some benefits, but you certainly don't have to walk for very long. You certainly don't have to walk very fast. Certainly don't have to walk very far, right? So, hey, if you can get 10 minutes, walk around the block, walk around the neighborhood, that is amazing. And if you can go to a park, if you can find, a green space, yeah, the benefits of being out in nature, what it does to your brain, right? What it does to your emotional state, it just infinitely, more beneficial to the walking experience. So yeah, there's a lot of theories. There's a lot of research you can do about how many steps we should get in a day, and there's always conflicting reports on that. But yeah, the fact that you're just getting some steps, that you're aware of that, and that there is a need. I mean, that's awesome. Good for you. Um, it's going to change daily, right? I fortunate enough to work in an industry where it is not too hard to get some steps. Walking around in nature with kids, with other adults. But I'm a dog owner. Yeah. So I just happen to have a fur baby that, as a breed, needs their steps, needs their exercise. So, yeah, I'm pretty consistent, being the one that walks Mr. Indiana Bones. It's twice a day, before work, after work, right? Hey, and maybe on a weekend, or when he's got some company, he'll get a third or sometimes maybe even a fourth adventure. But yeah, pretty consistent. So he's over. Keep the math simple. He's 4 years old. 2 walks a day. Sometimes more, sometimes less. But yeah, we don't take any days off. Might have a handful of days, inclement weather, crazy temperatures, but he's out, which means I'm out. I'm getting my steps. I'm walking. I'm outside. And I know that I am lucky enough, fortunate enough to live in the part of the world where I can do that outside. I've got access to land. It's not mine, but I've got access to it. And there's a couple of us, maybe a half dozen neighbors, and we're all dog walkers. And yeah, we're all out sharing the same patch of forest, same land, become stewards of it, right? So we'll do our part to do a little trail maintenance here and there, and make sure they're accessible for the actual tenants or stewards of the land. We do our part. But point is that we're outside, right? The benefits of birdsong, the benefits of just hearing, smelling, being near water, incredible. And as a certified forest therapy guide, I understand, appreciate, promote access to coniferous trees, all right, all year round, because they release phytoncides. All trees do, all plants do, but the coniferous trees, by nature of their chemistry, the phytoncides are a little different. Yeah, their communication, because it is year round, is a little different. It's not just through the mycorrhizal network. It's not just through the soil and the roots. They communicate basically using essential oils. And when you walk in nature, you are absorbing them because they're just on the air. It's a byproduct of photosynthesis, that miracle that gives us oxygen. There's trace amounts of moisture in the process, and on that is some of the tree's own essential oils, phytoncides, right? So they connect. It takes about 20 minutes, bare minimum. But if you can spend a couple hours, you might just if you're among coniferous trees, you might absorb enough phytoncides where they actually connect with your body's own immune system. And the studies, the research is out there since the 1980s that, the phytoncides from fir, pine, cedars, even larch, that's part of the tree's defense system, right? Whether the trees are communicating on the wind that there's a fire coming, there's a pest, there's a disease, there's a fungus, there's a threat, there's a need for protection, a need for change. They share that, right? Protecting each other as a colony, as a stand, as a forest, ensuring the health and continued health of other generations, right? Those phytoncides, that communication transmitter connects with our own body, and it connects with our own immune system, cortisol production decreased, and natural killer cells, right? Those things that are part of our immune system that target tumor, cell variation, cancer, right? So you don't have to walk in nature to be amongst the coniferous trees, and phytoncides are emitted by just about everything that has capacity to be involved in photosynthesis. But there's just something different about the chemistry of coniferous trees. And the studies are out there, and part of the organization that I had a chance to do my forest therapy training with is that GIFT, the Global Institute of Forest Therapy and Nature Connection. We're looking to recreate the studies, phytoncides, some close studies and some surveys. Those studies were done in Japan in the 1980s, but GIFT is hoping to recreate some of the same conditions, but on Canadians, in Canadian forests, Canadian trees. Are the phytoncides of eastern white cedar any different, more potent, less potent, more effective, less effective? Do they connect differently than a Japanese yew? Right? Eastern white pines, balsam fir, black spruce, white spruce, some larch, right? Do these coniferous trees connect any differently? And, even it's not a long time to evolve, but, with our current awareness and maybe some of our capacity to understand the human brain, understanding human physiology and human chemistry, relative to what was capable in the 1980s, right? What are the actual benefits physically, mentally, emotionally, spending time outside? And there's a financial benefit to it as well, because studies show that 4 to 5 visits to emergency rooms are due to stress-related ailments, right? Talking about hypertension, blood pressure, depression, anxiety, all these things that create cortisol. And we know that our reactions, our emotions, are a result of change, negative change. When it creates cortisol, creates stress. Spending time in nature reduces cortisol, lowers blood pressure, regulates heart rhythms, improves your sleep, improves creativity, problem solving, improves mood, capacity to cope, resiliency, right? And if you can get some phytoncides in there, well, now you're just connecting with your body's own immune system, affecting change. Doesn't take a lot of time. And you don't need coniferous trees, but they certainly do help. Just being outside in nature, and that's why there is a difference between nature connection and forest therapy. Forest therapy implies the need for the biodiversity in the stands of trees, whereas nature connection can happen on a beach. It can happen in a savanna, grassland, marshland, right? Out in the middle of a lake. Just nature. Nature's everywhere, right? But a forest, a little more specific, a little more intentional. The chemical processes and how they interact with our body, just a little more different, all right? So That's why you'll often hear the two terms interchangeable. You've maybe heard me use the term forest bathing versus forest connection, forest therapy. Forest bathing was originally the translation from Shinrin Yoku, Japanese practice of forest immersion, being out in a forest, being out in nature. And that was the first prescription to help relieve stress-related ailments in Japan in the 1980s. And it was something that the patient was expected to participate on their own. So that meant that they were, self-guided. And so from my perspective, that is what forest bathing is in its truest term relative to Shinrin Yoku. It's self-practiced. But the movement and the intentionality and the benefits of having someone else follow curriculum and scaffold and sort of ramp up the experience, deepen the experience, hold the vessels for things like timing and safety, helping the patient get out of their own head. That's where a guide comes in. So for me, that's the difference between forest therapy. It's the guide, right? Allows a deepening, a more complete immersion for the participant, for the patient. So forest bathing, do that all the live long day, all by yourself, right? Find your own way, your own patterns, what works for you. We've got space, time for. And forest therapy, you're committed to a 2 to 3 hour experience where someone else is going to offer you, invite you opportunities to connect with specific elements in nature, specific senses, to really deepen the forest immersion experience. Right? Whole point is you got to go outside. Yeah, and hey, during the pandemic, there were opportunities to still practice and promote that through Zoom meetings. Yeah, that was a thing, but not quite the same. So it's my intention to share what I can in this format, and it all starts by going outside. Right? So walk, listen, smell, just be very aware of what is happening in your environment. Start to get to know what those other living things are in your environment. Give them a name. They all have one. Right? There's no such thing as a weed. Right? It's a plant. It has a name. You just don't know what it is yet. All right? So yeah, get invested. We're part of it. Got to go outside. All right? It's time well spent. Better for it. All right. Thanks for listening. Appreciate you. See you soon.